Queen Kira sat perfectly still on her throne, listening to the sound of footsteps approaching. She could tell there were 7 people coming toward her. 6 wore the heavy boots of her royal council. The 7th person walked differently, lighter steps, uncertain, but trying to hide it. This must be the human. Kira had ruled the Velen Empire for 20 years. She had never seen her empire. Not with her eyes. When she was a child, an accident had stolen her sight forever. But she had learned to see in other ways. She could hear a lie in someone's voice. She could feel emotions through her telepathic abilities. She could sense when someone feared her or respected her. Right now, she sensed a lot of fear in the room. "Your Majesty," her chief advisor spoke. His name was Veltar, and he had served her father before her. "The human representative has arrived." "Let him approach," Kira said. The lighter footsteps came closer. They stopped at the proper distance from the throne. The human knew their customs. That was something. "I am Teho," the human said. His voice was deep and steady. "I come from Earth with respect and hope for our 2 peoples." Kira tilted her head slightly. She reached out with her telepathic sense, touching the surface of his mind. She felt nervousness there. Yes, but also something else. Determination, curiosity, and underneath it all, a strange warmth she did not quite understand. "You know why you are here," Kira said. It was not a question. "Yes, Your Majesty. To discuss the alliance between Earth and the Velen Empire. And you know the price of this alliance." A pause. Then, "Yes, marriage." The word hung in the air like a weight. Kira's council had debated for months before reaching this decision. The Empire was dying. Their war with the neighboring systems had drained their resources. Their people were hungry. Their technology was failing. Earth had what they needed. Advanced machines that could create food and energy from almost nothing. But Earth wanted something in return. They wanted to be family. "You understand I cannot see you," Kira said. "You understand that I am not what your people would call perfect." "Your Majesty," Teho said, and his voice held something that surprised her. "I have studied your culture for 6 years. I know that you speak 4 languages. I know that you ended the civil war of the border colonies through negotiation when others wanted bloodshed. I know that you play the Kiar harp so beautifully that people cry when they hear it. Perfect is not about eyes that work. Perfect is about what you do with what you have." Kira felt her council members shift uncomfortably. They had not expected this human to speak so boldly. "Pretty words," she said coldly. "But this will not be a marriage of love. This will be duty. Nothing more." "I understand," Teho said simply. 3 days later, they signed the treaty documents. Kira pressed her seal onto the agreement without hesitation. She had made harder choices than this. She had sent soldiers to die. She had closed factories and left workers without jobs. She had done what was necessary for her people to survive. Marrying a stranger was just one more necessary thing. The wedding was set for the next full moon. Kira's younger sister, Hee-jin, came to her chambers the night before the ceremony. "You do not have to do this," Hee-jin said. "Let me take the throne. Let me lead. You could retire to the countryside. Live in peace." "You want the throne," Kira said. "You have always wanted it. I want what is best for our people. A queen who cannot see, married to a human? It makes us look weak." Kira stood and walked to the window. She could not see the city below, but she could hear it. The sounds of her people going about their evening. Talking, laughing, living. "They will have food," Kira said quietly. "They will have power for their homes. Their children will not starve." "At what cost?" "Your dignity. Dignity does not fill empty stomachs." Hee-jin left without another word. But Kira could feel her sister's anger like heat from a fire. The wedding day arrived. Servants dressed Kira in traditional robes. They were heavy with jewels and ceremony. Someone described the colors to her. Deep purple and silver. Like the night sky. Kira did not care about colors. She cared that this day would pass quickly. The ceremony took place in the Grand Temple. Thousands of people attended. Kira could hear them breathing, whispering, waiting. She walked down the long aisle, counting steps. She had practiced this walk 100 times. She would not stumble. She would not show weakness. Taeho waited at the altar. The priest began the ritual words. Ancient phrases about unity and strength and the joining of souls. Kira had heard these words at other weddings. She had never thought they would be spoken for her. Then came the moment of hand joining. This was the part Kira had dreaded. In Velen tradition, the groom takes the bride's hand and leads her through a series of steps. It symbolizes leading each other through life. But Kira did not need leading. She did not want to be led. She had led herself just fine. For 47 years, Taeho's hand touched hers. It was warm. That was the first thing she noticed. Velens had cool body temperatures, but humans ran hot. She remembered reading that somewhere. His hand was warm and dry, and it held hers gently but firmly. The second thing she noticed was that he was not shaking. Everyone shook when they touched her. Even her closest advisors, even her family. They feared her because she was the queen, or they pitied her because she was blind, or both. But Taeho's hand was steady. He began to lead her through the steps. Small step forward, he whispered, so quietly only she could hear. Now to the left. Good. Now we turn together. He was guiding her, yes, but not like she was helpless. He was guiding her, like a partner, like they were doing this together. They completed the ritual steps. The priest pronounced them married. The crowd made the traditional sound of celebration, a humming that filled the temple like music. It was done. Kira was married to a human. That night, following tradition, they were given separate chambers. They would not live together until the bond between them grew stronger. It could take weeks or months. Some royal couples never shared chambers at all. Kira lay in her bed, listening to the sounds of the palace settling into sleep. She thought about the warmth of Taeho's hand. She thought about his steady heartbeat, which she had sensed during the ceremony. No deception in it. No fear. Just calm. It puzzled her. Why was this human not afraid of her? Why did his hand not shake? And why, when he touched her, did she feel something she had not felt in years? Safe. That thought frightened her more than anything else about this strange marriage. The first week of marriage was quiet and strange. Kira went about her duties as always. She held court, made decisions, listened to complaints and requests from her people. Taeho did not interfere. He attended the sessions, sitting in the seat reserved for the royal consort. But he never spoke unless she asked him a question. That was good, Kira thought. He understood his place. But then small things began to happen. Strange things. One morning, Kira was walking through the palace gardens. She did this every day, following paths she had memorized years ago. She heard footsteps behind her. The flowers have opened, Taeho said. The purple ones you planted last spring. They are beautiful. Kira stopped walking. I know they have opened. I can smell them. Of course, Taeho said. But did you know that they are not just purple? They have gold inside, like little stars. And when the sun hits them in the morning, they almost glow. Kira said nothing. People did not usually describe things to her. They assumed she did not care since she could not see. The sky is very clear today. Taeho continued. There are 2 moons visible, even though it is daytime. One is pale silver. The other has a blue tint to it. Why are you telling me this? Kira asked. Taeho was quiet for a moment. Because they are beautiful, and I wanted to share them with you. Is that wrong? It is pointless. Maybe, Taeho said, but I will probably keep doing it anyway. He did. Every day, he described things. The color of the sunset, the pattern of frost on the windows, the way the light changed throughout the day. At first, Kira found it annoying. Then she found it less annoying. Then, though she would not admit it, she began to look forward to it. The second strange thing happened during a council meeting. They were discussing trade routes. Veltar proposed closing the eastern corridor to save money on patrol ships. The other council members agreed quickly. They always agreed with Veltar. "Your Majesty," Teho said suddenly. "May I ask a question?" The council members went silent. The human had not spoken in meetings before. "Speak," Kira said. "If we close the eastern corridor, what happens to the 12 mining colonies that depend on it for supplies?" Veltar made an impatient sound. "They will receive supplies through the southern route. The southern route takes 3 weeks longer," Teho said. "I read the charts. The colonies have medical supplies that expire. Food that spoils. 3 weeks could mean people dying. The human does not understand our systems," Veltar said to Kira. "Perhaps it would be better if—" "He makes a good point," Kira interrupted. "Veltar, recalculate the costs. Include emergency supply runs to the colonies. See if closing the corridor still saves money." Veltar bowed stiffly. "As you command." After the meeting, Kira found Teho in the library. "You studied our trade routes," she said. "I study many things. Why? Because I wanted to be useful to you. And because decisions affect people. I wanted to understand which people." Kira sat down across from him. She reached out with her telepathic sense, touching his emotions. There was no pride there. No desire for power. Just simple honesty. "Most people do not care about 12 mining colonies," Kira said. "Most people have never been hungry," Teho replied. "I grew up in a poor district on Earth. I remember what it was like when supply ships were late. I remember watching my mother choose between medicine for my sister or food for the rest of us." Kira felt something twist in her chest. She did not know what to call it. "Your sister," she said. "Did she survive?" "Yes, she is a ship captain now, brave and stubborn. Like her brother perhaps." She heard him smile. She was getting better at hearing his smiles. 3 weeks into the marriage, a crisis came. Heijin arrived at the palace with a dozen supporters. They demanded an audience with Kira. Kira received them in the throne room. Teho stood beside her throne. Her hand moved slightly toward him, and he immediately offered his arm. She rested her fingers on it lightly. A small gesture, but it did not go unnoticed. "Sister," Heijin said. Her voice was sharp. "I come with concerns shared by many in the Empire. Speak your concerns. You have married a human. Our people are worried. They see weakness in this alliance. They see a blind queen relying on an outsider. They see food in their markets," Kira said coldly. "They see power in their homes. They see medicines arriving for their sick. Is that weakness? It is dependence," Heijin said. "And worse, it is rumored that you actually trust him, that you take his advice. A human, with no understanding of our ways," Teho spoke then, and his voice was harder than Kira had ever heard it. "I have spent 6 years learning your ways," he said. "I can read ancient Velen script. I know your histories. I understand your customs better than some who were born here. And I do not need to be Velen to see that Queen Kira leads with wisdom, courage, and more strength than anyone I have ever met." The throne room went absolutely silent. "You dare speak in the presence of royal blood?" Heijin demanded. "He is royal blood now," Kira said quietly. "He is my husband. He speaks with my permission." "This is exactly what we feared," Heijin said. "You are blinded by more than your eyes." "Be very careful," Kira said, and her voice dropped to something dangerous. "Be very careful with your next words, sister." Heijin stared at her for a long moment. Then she bowed, stiff and angry. "I have said what needed to be said. The people will judge." She left with her supporters. After they were gone, Kira remained on her throne. She could feel Teho still standing beside her. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You do not need my defense, but you gave it anyway." Yes, that night, Kira could not sleep. She walked to the balcony outside her chambers. The night air was cool, and she could hear the city below. Quiet and peaceful. She heard footsteps and turned. "I am sorry," Tejo said. "I did not mean to disturb you. I thought you would be asleep." "I could not sleep. Neither could I." They stood in silence for a moment. "Are you crying?" Kira asked suddenly. A pause. "How did you know?" "Your breathing changed." Tejo laughed, but it sounded sad. "I forget that you notice everything. Why are you crying?" "I miss home," he admitted. "I miss my family. My sister sent a message today. My father is sick. I cannot go to him. I chose this. I know. But some nights it feels very heavy." Kira walked closer to him. "You gave up everything. Your world. Your family. For an alliance with people who call you lesser. I gave it up for peace. And for you. You do not know me. I am trying to." Kira reached out and found his hand. It was warm, as always. "I do not know how to do this." "Do what?" "Be married. Be close to someone. I have been alone for so long." "I have been alone too," Tejo said. "Maybe we can be alone together. Maybe that is better than being alone separately." Kira felt something break inside her chest, something that had been frozen for years. "Stay," she said. "Talk to me. Tell me about your father. Tell me about Earth. Tell me about the things I cannot see." So he did. They talked until the sun came up, painting the sky in colors he described while she listened. And for the first time since the wedding, Kira thought that maybe this marriage might become something more than duty. Maybe it might become something real. 6 months after the wedding, Tejo brought something to Kira's chambers. "I have a gift for you," he said. Kira looked up from her desk. She had been reviewing reports, running her fingers over the raised symbols that her people used for writing. "What kind of gift?" "Put out your hands." She did. He placed something in them. It was wooden. Smooth. With strings stretched across it. "It is a Gayagium," Tejo said. "A human instrument from my homeland. I thought you might like to learn it." "I already know the Kyar harp." "I know. But this is different. It is smaller. The strings feel different under your fingers, and the music it makes is gentler, more personal." Kira ran her fingers across the strings. They made a soft, shimmering sound. "Show me." He sat beside her and guided her hands to the correct positions. His hands were warm over hers, patient as he showed her the basic patterns. "There are no rules," he said. "With the Kyar harp, you play the traditional songs. But with this, you can play whatever you feel, whatever you want." "That sounds chaotic, or free." Kira practiced every evening after that. At first, she played simple patterns. Then, she began to experiment. She found that Tejo was right. The instrument let her express things that the formal Kyar harp did not allow. She played her frustration, her confusion, her slowly growing feelings that she did not yet have words for. One evening, Tejo brought 2 more humans to meet her. They had arrived from Earth to install the new resource machines. "Your Majesty," Tejo said, "this is Donghyun and Nari. They are the engineers who will be setting up the synthesis technology." "Your Majesty," they both said. But their voices were casual, friendly, not the stiff, formal tones she usually heard. "Just Kira is fine," she said. Then she surprised herself by adding, "When we are not in official meetings." "Okay, Kira," Nari said. And Kira could hear the smile in her voice. "We brought the equipment. This stuff is going to change your empire. You will be able to create food, medicine, building materials, almost anything from basic elements." "How long will installation take?" 3 months, maybe 4, Donghyun said. "But we can start producing food within 3 weeks." They were right. 3 weeks later, the first synthesis machine began operating. It produced grain, vegetables, protein compounds. The food was not fancy, but it was nutritious and plentiful. The hungry colonies received shipments immediately. Kira visited the facility with Tae-ho. She could not see the machines, but she could hear them humming with power. She could smell the fresh food being produced. "This will save millions," she said quietly. "Yes," Tae-ho said. "It will. I judged humans as lesser," Kira admitted. "Not wrong. You just had not seen what we could do." But then the plague came. It started in the agricultural colonies, a disease that killed crops and then spread to the Velen people who tended them. The sick developed fevers, their breathing failed, and they died within days. Kira's medical council worked desperately to find a cure. But the virus mutated quickly. Every time they created a treatment, the virus changed. 2 weeks into the crisis, 5,000 people had died. More were sick every day. "We need a new approach," Kira said during an emergency meeting. "What we are doing is not working. Your Majesty, we are following all proper medical protocols," her chief physician said. "Then our protocols are failing." Dong-hyun spoke up from the back of the room. "May I make a suggestion?" The Velen officials looked at him with suspicion. "Speak," Kira said. "On Earth, we have dealt with mutating viruses before. We use adaptive nanotech, tiny machines that enter the body and change their response based on what the virus does. They learn and adapt in real time." "Machines inside the body?" The chief physician sounded horrified. "That violates 17 safety protocols. How many people have died following your protocols?" Nari asked sharply. The room went silent. "The nanotech works," Dong-hyun continued. "We could combine it with your Velen medicine. Use the best of both approaches." Veltar stood up. "Your Majesty, this is too dangerous. We do not fully understand human technology. If something goes wrong, people are already dying," Kira said. "Your Majesty, I must protest," Protest noted. Kira turned her head toward where Dong-hyun stood. "How quickly can you prepare this treatment?" "Thanks for watching." Kira turned her head. "To be King Luxi." Kira turned her head. "To be King Luxi. 3 days, if we work around the clock. Then begin." "Your Majesty." Veltar's voice was sharp with anger. "You are risking everything on human technology we do not understand." Kira stood up. "No. I am trusting my allies. I am trusting the people who gave us food when we were starving. I am trusting the humans who have shown more innovation in 6 months than we have shown in 6 years. The decision is made." 3 days later, the treatment was ready. They tested it on volunteers first. It worked. The nanotech adapted to the virus, learned its patterns, and destroyed it. The volunteers recovered. Within 2 weeks, the plague was contained. The death rate dropped to almost nothing. The agricultural colonies began to heal. Kira stood in the medical facility, listening to the sounds of recovering patients. She heard laughter, conversation, life. "You saved them," she said to Tae-ho, who stood beside her as always. "Dong-hyun and Nari saved them. I just translated. You made me trust them." That was the harder part. They walked together through the facility. A small child approached them. A girl from one of the colonies. "Queen Kira," the child said shyly. "I made this for you." She pressed something into Kira's hand. It was a flower, woven from grass stems. "Thank you," Kira said softly. "It is beautiful. My mother says you saved us. She says the human prince helped you. Clown teach me. My mother says you saved us. She says, you saved us." Tae-ho laughed. "I am not a prince. You married the queen. That makes you a prince." After they left the facility, Kira kept the woven flower. She placed it in her chambers, where she could touch it whenever she wanted. That night, she asked Tae-ho to come to her rooms. He arrived quickly. "Is something wrong?" "No. I just wanted." She paused. "I wanted to tell you something." "I am listening." Kira walked to him. She reached up and touched his face. something she had not done since their wedding night. She traced his features slowly, memorizing them with her fingers. "I have been thinking about us," she said. "About this marriage." She felt his breath catch. "When we married, I told you it would only be duty," she continued. "I told you there would be nothing more. I remember. I was wrong." Her fingers moved to his jaw, his neck. "I feel something when I am with you. I feel safe. I feel understood. I feel like I can be myself. Not just the queen. I think this feeling has a name." "What name?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Love," Kira said. "I think I love you." Teho's hands came up to cover hers. "Kira, I have loved you since the third conversation we had. When you laughed at my terrible joke about the council meeting, I saw you, not the queen, but you, and I fell completely. Why did you not tell me? Because I thought you only saw this as duty. I did not want to burden you with feelings you might not want." Kira smiled. It felt strange and wonderful on her face. "You are very foolish sometimes." "Yes, but you are my foolish human." "Yes." She kissed him then. And it was nothing like their formal wedding kiss. This was real. This was choice. This was love. Freely given and received. When they finally pulled apart, Kira rested her forehead against his. "Stay with me tonight," she said. "Not in the consort chambers. Here. With me." "Are you sure?" "I have never been more sure of anything." So he stayed. And for the first time in her life, Queen Kira fell asleep in someone's arms, feeling completely and utterly safe. 1 year after their wedding, Kira and Teho's love had become known throughout the empire. Some people celebrated it. They said the queen had found happiness. They said the alliance with Earth was bringing good things. Others did not celebrate. They whispered in corners. They said the queen was distracted. They said humans had too much influence. They said change was happening too fast. Heijin gathered these whispers like weapons. The grand festival was coming. It happened once every 3 years. A week of celebration where the royal family walked among the people. There were parades, feasts, ceremonies. The palace gates opened wide, and thousands came to see their queen. Jae-min, the captain of the royal guard, came to Kira 5 days before the festival. "Your Majesty," he said. "What kind of threat?" "Assassination. We found communication between your sister and a mercenary group called the Talon Syndicate. We cannot read all the messages, but the word festival appears many times." Kira felt cold. "My sister wants me dead. We cannot prove it yet, but we believe there will be an attack. I recommend canceling the festival." "No," Kira said immediately. "If we cancel, we show fear. We show weakness. That is exactly what Heijin wants." "Then we increase security," Jae-min said. "Triple the guards. Keep you behind protective barriers. That defeats the purpose of the festival. The people need to see their queen. They need to know I am not hiding." Teho had been listening quietly. Now he spoke. "Then, I will stay close to you. Every moment of the festival. You?" Jae-min did not hide his doubt. "With respect, you are human. You are not trained for combat. I am trained enough." "Teho," Kira said gently, "Jae-min is right. If there is danger, then I will face it with you." The festival began on a bright morning. Kira wore ceremonial robes and walked through the palace gates with Teho at her side. Jae-min and 50 guards surrounded them, but not too closely. The people needed to feel they could approach their queen. The first 3 days went smoothly. Kira greeted her people, listened to their concerns, blessed their children. She heard joy in their voices. The empire was healing. But she also heard other things. Whispers that cut off when she passed. Footsteps that followed too closely. A sense of wrongness in the air. "Do you feel it?" she asked Teho on the 3rd night. "Feel what?" "Something is coming. I trust your instincts." The attack came on the final night of the festival. There was a grand ceremony in the main square. 10,000 people attended. Kira stood on a platform, giving the traditional closing speech. Tae-ho stood beside her. Jae-min and his guards were positioned around the platform. Kira was halfway through her speech when she heard it. A soft sound that did not belong. Metal sliding against metal. Fabric moving in a way that suggested concealed weapons. Tae-ho, she said quietly, not stopping her speech. Something is wrong. He tensed beside her. All around us. Then the attack began. It happened fast. Figures in dark clothing appeared from the crowd, moving with professional precision. They wore stealth technology that made them hard to see. But Kira did not need to see. She heard them perfectly. "Assassins!" Jaemin shouted. "Protect the queen!" The royal guards moved immediately. But they were outnumbered. The assassins had positioned themselves perfectly. There were dozens of them. Maybe more. Metal rang against metal as guards fought the attackers. People in the crowd screamed and ran. The organized ceremony turned into chaos. "Get the queen to safety," Jaemin ordered. 2 guards grabbed Kira's arms, trying to pull her away, but the platform was surrounded. Assassins were closing in from all sides. Tae-ho moved in front of Kira. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "My job." An assassin lunged at them. Tae-ho moved faster than Kira expected. He caught the assassin's weapon arm and twisted it hard. Something broke with a snap. The assassin screamed. Another attacker came from the left. Tae-ho kicked out, connecting with the attacker's knee. The assassin went down. "Behind you!" Kira shouted, hearing another attacker approaching. Tae-ho spun and blocked a knife aimed at his throat. He headbutted the attacker, then grabbed the knife and drove it into the assassin's shoulder. Kira listened in shock. She had read that humans were fierce, but reading and hearing were different things. Tae-ho was fighting like a wild animal. He was not elegant or trained. He was brutal and effective. More attackers came. Tae-ho took a cut across his arm. He ignored it. Another blade sliced his leg. He kept fighting. A blow to his ribs made him grunt in pain. But he did not stop. Jaemin had been driven back, fighting 3 assassins at once. The other guards were scattered or down. It was just Tae-ho standing between Kira and death. "Please," Kira whispered. "Please stop. You will die." "Not before they do," Tae-ho said. His voice was strange now, hard and cold. An assassin rushed at him with a long blade. Tae-ho waited until the last second, then stepped inside the strike. He grabbed the assassin's throat with one hand and squeezed. The assassin dropped. Another came. Tae-ho picked up a dropped weapon and threw it. It hit the attacker in the chest. Kira could hear his breathing now. It was harsh and labored. He was hurt badly. She could smell his blood. "Tae-ho, please," she begged. "Almost done," he said. Just a few more, but there were more than a few. There were 10 assassins still standing, and they were circling like predators. Then Kira heard running footsteps. New voices. "For Earth," someone shouted. It was Nari. "For the Queen." That was Dong-hyun. The 2 human engineers had arrived with improvised weapons. Nari had a metal pipe. Dong-hyun wielded something that sparked with electricity. They crashed into the assassins with the same fierce energy as Tae-ho. 3 humans against 10 trained killers. And somehow, the humans were winning. The remaining assassins broke and ran. Silence fell over the square. Bodies lay scattered on the ground. The royal guards were regrouping. Jaemin was wounded but alive. Tae-ho stood in the center of it all, swaying slightly. His clothes were torn and soaked with blood. "Kira," he said softly. "Are you hurt?" "No. But you." He took one step toward her and collapsed. Kira dropped to her knees beside him, her hands finding his face. "Do not do this. Do not you dare leave me." "Not leaving," he mumbled. His voice sounded far away. "Just tired." "Someone get the medical team," Kira screamed. Tae-ho laughed weakly. Sorry about the mess. I am not a very elegant fighter. You are alive. That is all that matters. Did I do good? Kira felt tears on her face. She had not cried in years. You did more than good. You were terrifying. You were magnificent. You were everything. Good, he whispered. Because I would do it again. Every time. For you. The medical team arrived. They lifted Taeho onto a stretcher. Kira held his hand the entire way to the medical facility. Nari and Donghyun walked beside her. Both wounded but not seriously. He fought like a demon, Nari said quietly. I have seen soldiers who could not fight like that. All humans fight like that when protecting what they love, Donghyun said. It is what we do. Kira thought about that. About how Taeho had faced death without hesitation. About how he had taken wounds that would have killed most beings, and kept fighting. About the cold fury in his voice when he said he would not let them reach her. Everyone thought humans were weak. They were smaller than Velans, less advanced, shorter lived. But in that moment, watching her husband fight for her life, Kira understood something that shocked her to her core. Humans were not weak. They were survivors from a harsh world. They were apex predators who had learned to be gentle. And when they loved someone, when they chose to protect someone, they became the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. They just chose not to show it most of the time. In the medical room, as doctors worked on Taeho's wounds, Kira sat beside him and held his hand. She thought about the galaxy's misunderstanding of humanity. She thought about how wrong they all were. And she thought about how lucky she was to be loved by someone who would face hell itself without fear, just to keep her safe. I see you now, she whispered to his unconscious form. I finally see what you really are. Taeho recovered slowly. The doctors said he was lucky to be alive. He had taken 7 major wounds and a dozen minor ones. Any one of them could have been fatal. But humans, they learned, healed differently than Velans. Their bodies were built to survive damage that would kill other species. He is stubborn, one doctor said. That sounds like him, Kira said. She rarely left his side during the 3 weeks of recovery. She sat beside his bed, holding his hand, listening to his breathing. Sometimes he was awake, and they talked. Sometimes he slept, and she simply kept him company. During this time, something began to happen. Something neither of them expected. Their telepathic bond, which had always been gentle and surface level, began to deepen. Kira could feel Taeho's emotions more clearly now. She could sense his dreams. Sometimes, when he was sleeping, she caught glimpses of his thoughts. This is unusual, she told her telepathic counselor, an old Velan woman named Rin, who had trained Kira since childhood. The bond has never been this strong before. Near-death experiences can strengthen bonds, Rin said. When someone faces death for another person, when their devotion is absolute, it creates connections deeper than normal. What are you experiencing? I feel him. Not just emotions. More than that. It is like I am inside his mind, sometimes. That is very rare, very powerful. Rin paused. Be careful. Bonds this deep can show you things that are overwhelming. Kira did not know how right Rin was. Hei Jin was arrested 5 days after the attack. Evidence was found linking her to the Talon Syndicate. She was sentenced to exile, stripped of her royal status. As guards led her away, she looked at Kira with pure hatred. You chose a human over your own blood, she spat. You are a traitor to our people. No, Kira said calmly. I chose love over hate. I chose life over pride. If that makes me a traitor, then I am proud to be one. After Heijin was gone, the empire settled into peace. The reforms continued. The alliance with Earth grew stronger. Kira's people, most of them, accepted the changes. They accepted Taeho. On the night that Taeho was finally released from medical care, they returned to their chambers together. Kira helped him to their bed, careful of his healing wounds. I can walk on my own, he protested. I know. Let me help anyway. They lay together, and Kira rested her head on his chest. She listened to his heartbeat, strong and steady. She had almost lost this. Almost lost him. "I was so scared," she whispered. "So was I." "You did not seem scared. You seemed angry." "I was terrified," Teho admitted. "But I was more angry. Angry that someone would try to hurt you. That someone would try to take you from me." Kira was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I need to tell you something. About our bond. I feel it too. It is stronger now." "Yes, much stronger. Rin says it is because of what you did, because you faced death for me." The devotion created something rare. Teho stroked her hair gently. "Does it bother you?" "No. But it shows me things. Your emotions. Your thoughts sometimes. That does not bother me. I have nothing to hide from you." They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other. And in the night, something extraordinary happened. Kira began to dream. But these were not her dreams. They were Teho's. She saw things. Actual images, bright and clear. She saw a world with blue oceans and green forests. She saw a yellow sun, so different from her empire's twin stars. She saw buildings of glass and metal, ships flying through clouds. This was Earth. She was seeing Earth through Teho's memories. The dream shifted. She saw a small house and a woman with kind eyes. Teho's mother. She saw a young girl with a fierce smile. His sister. She saw his childhood, his training, his life before he came to her. Then the memories moved forward. She saw herself, and she was beautiful. Kira had never known what she looked like. People told her she was beautiful, but she had always assumed they were being polite. But through Teho's eyes, she saw herself. Truly, she saw her face, elegant and strong. She saw her hair, dark and flowing. She saw the way she moved, with grace and confidence. She saw herself smiling, and her smile was radiant. This was how Teho saw her. Not blind, not broken, just beautiful. The memory shifted to their wedding day. She felt his nervousness, his awe. She saw the moment he had taken her hand, and she felt what he had felt. Wonder, hope, the beginning of love. She saw more memories, cascading through her mind like water. She saw every moment they had shared, but from his perspective, she saw herself laughing at his jokes. She saw herself playing the Gaiageum, lost in music. She saw herself sleeping peacefully in his arms. Then came the night of the attack. Kira almost pulled away from the memory. But she forced herself to stay. She needed to see this. Through Teho's eyes, she watched the assassins approach. She felt his fear, sharp and cold. But under the fear was something stronger. Determination. A decision made in an instant. He would not let them reach her. He would die first. She watched him fight. She felt every blow he took, every stab of pain. She felt his body screaming at him to stop, to give up. But he ignored it. Because behind him, she was there. And nothing, not pain, not death, nothing would make him move. She saw the moment he had looked back at her, when she had begged him to stop. She saw her own face through his eyes, terrified and crying. And she felt what he had felt. Love, pure and absolute, and without any doubt. He loved her more than life itself. He loved her enough to die protecting her. He loved her with an intensity that took her breath away. The memory ended, and Kira woke up gasping. Teho woke immediately. "What is wrong? Are you hurt?" "I saw," Kira whispered. "I saw everything." "What do you mean?" "Your memories. Through our bond. I saw them. I saw Earth. I saw your family. I saw myself." Her voice broke. "I saw how you see me." Teho pulled her closer. "Then you know. You know how beautiful you are. How amazing. How strong. And, Teho, You are Ander-faced. I saw the fight. I saw what you felt. You were willing to die. Yes. Why? She asked, even though she knew the answer. Why would you do that? Because a life without you is not worth living. Because you are everything to me. Because I love you more than I love breathing. Kira was crying now, tears streaming down her face. No one has ever loved me like that. No one has ever chosen me like that. Then they were fools. She kissed him, desperate and fierce. When they finally pulled apart, she said, I have been blind my whole life. Not just my eyes, but my heart. I convinced myself that I was not worthy of love, that I was broken. You are not broken. I know that now. Because I finally see. Through your eyes, through your heart, I see what love really is. It is not just words or promises. It is choosing someone. Every day. In every moment. It is facing death without hesitation. It is seeing beauty where others see flaws. She touched his face gently. You taught me to see, Taeho, not with eyes, but with something deeper. And what I see is shocking and wonderful. What do you see? I see that humans are not what the galaxy thinks. You are not weak or simple. You love with a fire that could burn stars. You are loyal beyond reason. You are survivors who choose gentleness, and warriors who choose peace. And when you finally fight, when you finally show what you really are, you are the most terrifying and beautiful thing in the universe. Taeho smiled. We are just doing our best. No, you are extraordinary, and I was blind not to see it sooner. 3 months later, Kira stood before the Galactic Council. Leaders from 50 star systems had gathered for the annual assembly. Taeho stood beside her, fully healed now. I have called this assembly to propose a change to our alliance structure, Kira said. Earth should not serve the Velen Empire. We should be true partners, equals in all things. The council murmured. This was unprecedented. Furthermore, Kira continued, I propose a cultural exchange program. I want every young leader in the Empire to spend time on Earth, to learn from humans, to understand what they can teach us. What can humans teach us? One council member asked skeptically. Kira smiled. They can teach us to live urgently, to love deeply, to hope in hopeless situations, to see beauty in imperfection, to fight when necessary and show mercy when possible. She paused. They can teach us that strength is not about living long or having perfect bodies. Strength is about what you do with the time you have and the body you are given. She placed her hand on her stomach, where a small life was growing. I am carrying a child, half Velen, half human. This child will be proof that our peoples can become one, that we are stronger together. The council approved the proposals. Some, reluctantly, some, eagerly, but all of them approved. After the assembly, Kira and Taeho returned to their chambers. She asked him to describe the sunset one more time. The sky is orange and pink, he said. The light is soft and golden. The stars are just starting to appear. I can see it, Kira said softly. Through you, I can see it. And it was true. Through their bond, she could glimpse the colors, the light, the beauty. She would never see with her own eyes. But through love, through connection, she could witness wonders she had never imagined. Thank you, she said, for teaching me to see. Thank you for choosing me, Taeho replied. For giving me a home, and a family, and a purpose. They stood together, watching the sunset through shared eyes, two souls so deeply connected that they had become one. And Kira thought about how she, a blind queen, had witnessed something that shocked her to her core. She had witnessed the extraordinary nature of humanity. She had witnessed the power of love that transcends all differences. And she had witnessed that sometimes, the ones we consider weak are actually the strongest of all. They just need someone willing to see them clearly. And now, finally, she could see.